So, welcome to another show. So today's show is about a myth or a story called the Myth of Sisyphus. Now, this story, obviously, I'm going to explain what it is, but there are some fundamental lessons that can be learned, as with any story or myth or parable. There is an underlying concept here that we need to understand. So I'll give a brief synopsis of the story first, and then we'll obviously go into what it is that we can learn from it. So Sisyphus was a king, of a place called Corinth, and he was quite a cunning man, a deceitful man, a smart man, let's say. And what happened is he actually managed to cheat death on two occasions. He firstly cheated death, or Thanatos, as he's called, by tricking him and asking him how the chains worked. So obviously he showed him and he basically locked him there. Sisyphus did. He also tricked Persephone as well into letting him return to the living world. So the gods decided to punish Sisyphus for his treachery, if that's what you want to call it, or trickery might be a better word there. He was coined with the task of pushing a boulder uphill forever, every day, and when the boulder got to the top, it would, down to gravity, obviously roll all the way back to the bottom. Now, the question is, well, first of all, what does the story mean? And what can we learn from it? So, this story has become famous through Albert Camus, who obviously is an existential philosopher who we talked briefly about last time. Now, this story can be used for a metaphor for actually the human condition. So, what difference is it that Sisyphus was punished pushing a boulder uphill every day than your life? You get up to go to work, you go to the same job, you have to struggle to pay your bills, struggle to save money, struggle maybe with health, struggle to find partners, whatever it may be. You have the same task of pushing this boulder uphill. And actually, even when you push the boulder uphill, at the end of life, you will die. The boulder will come back and start all over again. Now, Camus talks about absurdism, and that's essentially the human condition in a nutshell. So the absurdism is the clash between our need to find meaning and the universe's indifference to that, in essence. So what he's saying is that the universe doesn't really care what meaning we try and find. So, but we do have an inherent need to find one and to feel like we have some inherent meaning or purpose. Camus then says that if we imagine Sisyphus climbing the mountain or the hill, pushing this boulder up, we must imagine him being happy. And this is really important as part of this whole myth or story. You might have a life that is tough. You might have a life that feels like You're overcoming obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, but you should be happy with it. You should feel happy that your life is tough. I know it might sound difficult to sort of comprehend, but we have this absurdity, don't we? We've got a conflict, as I said, between wanting to search for meaning and maybe the universe being indifferent to that. And again, we are using those phrases and those beliefs for this particular story, um, because it's part of the existential philosophy, basically. But if we think that we've got to push this boulder uphill, we have to be resilient then, don't we? And persistent and have perseverance, despite the actual futility of the task itself, because it's a bit of a pointless task, isn't it? Pushing a boulder uphill for it to come back down. But that is a metaphor for life in some way, shape, or form. What it shows us is that regardless of the outcome, we should be willing to put in our best efforts. The journey is important, and more so than the destination. We are responsible for actions, aren't we, and choices. We might not have 100% control over things, but we do have control over how we think about things and how we feel about things and what our attitude is. That self-freedom can be very daunting, absolutely, but it can also be very liberating as well. And we can realize that actually we do have control to some extent, and actually, in some respects, that's the main extent, isn't it? Because regardless of where we are, we can feel good about it. It's like the Viktor Frankl man's search for meaning thing, isn't it? In the Holocaust, he managed to give himself some sense of purpose, despite, let's say, the inevitability of death. We need to find some fulfillment and joy in what we do. And as I said, the punishment of pushing the boulder uphill is a solid representation, really, of life's obstacles and challenges, isn't it? And we need to face this adversity head on. It shows the importance of mindset too, doesn't it? It shows that despite this punishment, quote unquote, that we can turn that into personal triumph and find positive in any situation that we have. And actually, that can turn to fulfillment, inner fulfillment. Now, in a slightly broader manner, can we use this story to start examining our own life? We have this picture in our head now, don't we, of Sisyphus pushing this boulder uphill. Can you look at your own life externally from a mythical or story standpoint? How would you describe your emotional behavior? Would you be smiling, pushing the boulder, or would you be resenting where you are and what you're doing? Are you focused on what your daily actions are? And, obviously, using this story as an example, he knows that he needs to get up and push his boulder every day. What boulder are you pushing and for what reason? Have you got family, friends, or a legacy that you're chasing? Embrace the lessons as well. As part of the obstacles that you're overcoming, it's important that you learn from them. Camus also talks about, as we said, the absurdity part of it, and that we can design our own purpose and feeling. But if we realize, actually, as far as he's concerned, that life lacks intrinsic meaning and it's down to us, this can give us a sense of disorientation, doesn't it? Look, can't it? And it can lead people to do certain things. It can lead to suicide. People think and can become nihilists off the back of that. Oh, life's meaningless, pointless. Pushing this boulder uphill, pointless. Let me just end it. People can look to seek external sources of purpose through maybe religion and in that leap of faith. Or you can become a rebel and just rebel against the system, can't you? But whichever of those we do, obviously minus the suicide, we need to have some sort of autonomy about and understand that we are responsible for our own life. Embrace the amount of freedom that you've got. And despite the challenges and the absurd, try to live as fully as you can with a sense of liberation, purpose, and acceptance as to the task ahead. So next time you're having a tough day, just remember you are pushing the boulder uphill, but you should be smiling and happy about it.